Welcome back to the greatest recap of a race that happens on a Wednesday morning at 4:45 a.m. CST. Boy, it is great to have you here today. Last week on the Park Perimeter Loop, Matt Korse jumped hard at the sprint to take first place. Jason Stern came in just behind him in second, with Rich B. and Alexander Samashin following him. Coming into this race, the leaderboard has Jason Stern at the top, narrowly followed by Chris Adlington and Mello Johnny. Only 80 points separate these three athletes at the top of the standings. This week's course is a great one as we head back to Watopia for the Volcano KOM After Party. This course has 2 laps of the Watopia flat route, followed by a very difficult mountain finish on the Volcano KOM. 24.9 miles with 875 feet of climbing, most of which happens in the final 2 miles. With the focus of this race being on the final climb, the flat sections of the race should be fast and brutal to hold on to as the leaders try to keep the pace high and cull the size of the pack before the KOM. Today we are following along with Ken Nowell from the Dirt Team YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe over there and give him a thumbs up for streaming his race. We are Team Dirt. Dirt stands for Dad's Inside Riding Trainers. You can identify our team by the pink level 20 jerseys. The start of this race is a tide of pink as the Dirt Team immediately burns the barn down, trying to put stress on the opposing leaders. With superior numbers, the Dirt Team's strategy is all about sharing the load at the front of the group to keep that pace high. We've identified 3 spots that we want to keep the pressure on, attacking on all 3 of the inclines through the Watopia flat course. Once going up the underwater tunnel exit, again up the switchback S after the boat dock, and for a 3rd time on the double humps leading up the backside of the volcano. That's the plan for this race. Underwater tunnel, attack. Switchback S, attack. Double hump at the volcano, attack again. Rinse and repeat, lap after lap. The first break formed at 2.7 miles, shortly after the underwater tunnel and advancing to the switchback S. The back of the field has already hit the overload button and is falling off. As we head into the first ascent of the switchback, the pack holds at 6.5 to 7 watts per kilogram, again shedding riders off of the back. My personal strategy for this race was to attack every one of these small climbs on the flat. With my recent struggles to hold the pack, I wanted to put myself on the front of every climb to prevent myself from getting caught at the back of the field. My mission was to make it to the KOM start with the leaders and then leave fate to the winds. The best defense is an even better offense, so I rode aggressively, taking hard attacks and pulls to also do my part in keeping that pace high. If I should happen to fall off early, my goal is to inflict maximum damage on the rest of the field before I do so. As we go under the lap banner on Ocean Boulevard for the first time, we're stringing along at 32 miles per hour and roughly 42 strong in the pack. We've shed perhaps 15 total riders from our numbers. Not enough have been dropped yet, and we have more attacks to make. On the second underwater tunnel exit, we hit that ramp at 5.5 to 6.5 watts per kilogram, stringing out the group, but the elastic held, bringing back all but 1 or 2 riders. Still 40 strong and a lot of pink. Probably half the field represents Team Dirt. Shortly later, we follow up with hitting Switchback S for the 2nd time. Alan Brannon takes to the front and lays down a furious attack to break apart the pack. Up and over the crest of that small ramp, he brings the pack screaming down the descent, never once letting off the pedals. The watts start to take off, 5.5, 6, 7 watts per kilogram as the pack gets more and more aggressive on the descent. The lead pack starts pulling away, splitting into 3 small, distinct groups. A lead group of 20, a chase group of 10, and a final pack of 5 that are falling away. Fortunately, all of the key Dirt personnel has remained in that front group. Ken the Badger, Jason Stern, Brian Carver, Tim Busick. We have a lot of firepower left to throw at this race. A few miles later, we hit the second descent up the double pump of the volcano. The pace ignites up to 7 watts per kilogram from some riders as the group tries to stay together. With the second lap through Ocean Boulevard, the leading group is down to 25 with a nice gap on the chase pack. The leaders slow it down on the remainder of the flat section, knowing that the volcano climb is just a few flat miles away. The volcano climb itself is 2.3 miles and 450 feet of climbing. It alternates sections of flat terrain with ramps of 5 to 7% incline. The test is holding that watt per kilogram through the ramps while also quickly recovering on those flats. As we head back into the volcano, this time we take the opposite direction up the steep ramp to the lap banner. With the KOM still looming just a mile away, the pack keeps it calm, staying around 5 watts per kilogram, preparing and waiting for this KOM attempt. As the field hits the start of the KOM, there's still 25 racers in the pack. Slowly, the elevation ticks up, and slowly the riders start dropping off the back of this pack. I was in there, falling back to finish in 26th overall. Jason Stern, Dirt's team leader and the current overall leader, is also on the back with me, both of us recovering from illnesses. Ken and the rest of the leaders, Mellow Johnny, Graham Partain, Alan Brannon, Tim Busick, and Ads, all still in the mix fighting for this lead group, continuing to string along with Chris Adlington and Hovel also surfing the pack. In the final mile, a group of 3 escapes off the front, just dropping the chasers behind them. Chris Adlington, Tim Spears, and Timu Hananen had shot up the road and sprint for the finish. A photo finish for sure, with Adlington edging out Spears for the top spot, with Hananen in third. All 3 finish in less than 1 second of each other. Colin Chen and Mellow Johnny take spots 4 and 5, and Ken Nowell is Dirt's best placed finisher at 7th. Alan Brannon in 8th and Tim Busick in 9th also represent Dirt. With Jason Stern fighting off an illness and losing ground in the overall points race, Chris Adlington jumps up as the new overall leader for the Morning Grind series. Jason Stern in 2nd with Mellow Johnny in 3rd. 36 points separate these 3 athletes. The final 4 races of the series will be an uproar, and don't forget that only the top 9 results are counted. This could open the door for a black horse like Rich B or Tim Busick to advance towards this lead group, but it would at least appear that the fight for first is squarely between these 3. Dirt also has Rich B in 5th, Tim Busick in 7th, and Paul Buckwild Buckland in 10th. Next week, the Morning Grind turns to the leg snapper in the Innsbruck ring. A sprinter's course, if ever there was one. 4 laps of the leg snapper is going to be rough, with an almost definite sprint finish to follow. 22 miles and just shy of 1,000 feet of climbing. I can't wait for this race. Like, share, and subscribe, and catch up with us next week in Innsbruck.